The video, Project 2025, is about legislating Sunday law and then to cause it to be enforced, and by doing so, paying homage, giving their authority over to the first beast, the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. There you go. So right here I have, after you open the link to right here, Project 2025 PDF, I'm going to do in a minute, and then upload it to your iBooks, something changes when you do that. So basically, I'm going to show you this in a minute. All right, so let me just copy and paste the copy here. I'll look it up. All right, boom. Okay, there we are. The Heritage Foundation, Project 2025. So I click it. And you notice here up at the top, there's nothing here, okay? There's nothing here. There's nothing here until you upload it to your iBooks, okay? That's my main point, okay? So watch, I'm going to put it in my iBooks. And there we go. I already have the page ready to go. And you see up the top, it says 2025 Mandate for Leadership Full Sunday Laws. So if I click it, it kind of goes away. But tap on it, you get up the top, 2025 Mandate for Leadership Full Sunday Laws. The page in the corner is 621 of 920. That's the page you go to, or on the bottom, it's 589. So I already have it marked up, so I'm going to get out of this real quick. You see it's the same thing right here. Click it, shows at the top. Right, 2025 Mandate for Leadership Full Sunday Laws. Okay, so back over here. Kind of repeat now. I have right here, Project 2005 is about legislating Sunday law. Then I just said, then go to the page 589 or the top 621 of 920. So here it is, I have it nicely marked up. All right, and there we go. I marked it, just as I repeated earlier. 2025 Mandate for Leadership Full Sunday Laws. I'm going to read some of these comments here concerning what's in the Project 2025. I have it underlined blue here. Congress should encourage communal rest by amending the Fair Labor Standards Act of FLSA to require that workers be paid time and a half for hours worked on Sabbath. That day would default to Sunday. Well, that's a lie right there, because Sunday is a tradition made up tradition, a creation by the Catholic Church. Okay, so let me go. It says default to Sunday, and well, we know the biblical Sabbath is on the seventh day of the week, which is known by pagan name Saturday. Sunday is the first day of the week. So usually the wicked one just flips things. Oh, seventh day of the week is holy. Okay, we'll make it the first day holy, right? Okay, pretend to be and try to be. Then it says except for employers with a sincere religious observance of a Sabbath at a different time, Friday, Sunday to Saturday, Sunday. Okay, the obligation would transfer to that period instead. Houses of worship to the limited extent that may have FLSA covered employees. And employers, okay, there we go. You get the point. So here you go. So they're trying to say Sabbath would default to Sunday. That's a lie. And this is pretty biased here. So unless your employer has a religious, here, let me write it down here on the bottom here to help me along here. So I wrote it right here. Here's an excerpt from what I just read. Here's an excerpt for what I just read. Except for employers with a sincere religious observance of a Sabbath at a different time, Friday, Sunday to Saturday, Sunday, the obligation. I put, so unless your employer has a sincere religious observance of the 7-day Sabbath known by pagan name Saturday, you're not going to get the day off. There you go. That's my comment on there. So I looked up the Heritage Foundation, right? This is what I found about Charlie Kirk here. So we know Charlie Kirk was for the biblical 7-day Sabbath, and he was promoting that. But yet the Heritage Foundation is promoting a whole different day, right? I kind of think that's the way, one of the reasons why, taken out, or why they did what they did. Okay, so here we go. So I put Sunday, the first day of the week, is not the Sabbath. It's a creation of the Catholic Church. Here's a couple quotes by the Catholic Church right here. Okay, Catholic American Sentinel, June 1893. Sunday It is a law of the Catholic Church alone. There it is. Here's another one. American Catholic Quarterly, 1883. Sunday is purely a creation of the Catholic Church. All right. Catholic Mirror, September 23rd, 1893. The Catholic Church, for over 1,000 years before the existence of a Protestant, by virtue of divine mission, changed the day from Saturday to Sunday. Well, there you go. The invention of the Catholic Church, telling you right there. Catholic creation for over 1,000 years. It's not biblical, and Charlie Kirk was promoting something that was actually biblical, right? Against the agenda of Project 2025, right? Okay, so here we go. So I have here. So legislation of Sunday law will be making an image to the first beast, the Catholic Church, a revised Roman Empire elevating a commandment of man above the commandment of Yah, right? All right, so what I have here is Revelation 13:15. So let me read this here. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. So I have this marked with yellow. Go to here. My commentary. So making an image of the beast is duplicating it again. It's a revised Roman Empire, as it says. A second beast deceives people into making an image to the first beast. Revelation 13:14 through 15. So that's for light. It's a duplicate of the first beast. And then I have right here, with the red X here, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, or pay homage to it, paying homage to their day and their beast feast. Here it is. Here we got beast equals nation. That speaks by legislation, and they cause, which equals enforcement. So the beast legislates Sunday law, and then they cause it to be enforced. So right here, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right? So beast equals nation. That speaks. They speak by legislation, and they cause it to be enforced, right? So the beast legislates Sunday law, and then they cause it to be enforced. Sounds a lot like Project 2024. Sounds like right now. Okay, America, right? Okay, here you go. Catholic quotes concerning Protestants paying homage to the Catholic Church by the observance of Sunday and keeping Christmas, Easter. There you go. Catholic quotes. Our Sunday Visitor, February 5th, 1950. Practically everything Protestants regard as essential or important, they have received from the Catholic Church. The Protestant mind does not seem to realize that in accepting the Bible and observing the Sunday and keeping Christmas and Easter, they are accepting the authority of the spokesman for the Church, the Pope. So you're going to you're going in a different jurisdiction. You're being removed by doing this. You're going to a different jurisdiction. You're not in the jurisdiction of Jesus. That's what's being said here, because none of this stuff is big. Well, there's all idolatry, right? Okay, so here we go. Louis, if I can say, Louis Gaston Cigar, plain talk about the Protestantism of today. London, Thomas, Richard and Son. There we go. So here we go. Thus, the observance of Sunday by the Protestants is a homage they pay, in spite of themselves, to the authority of the Catholic Church. Paying homage to them. All right. Okay, and we're going to do Revelation 13, verse 8, Farrah Fitton Bible. As it says, and the whole of the inhabitants of the earth shall pay homage, everyone whose name has not been recorded in the book of life of the Lamb sacrificed from the foundation of the world. So they're paying homage. We're honoring their day or days, their beast feast, their mark, replacing the biblical Sabbath and feast days, right? Passover, coming for a meal for abomination called Easter. Brainwashed during public school on that one. They have you celebrate a week, but Easter is one day and you get 7 days of Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's what you're supposed to celebrate. And they're still celebrating in the New Testament. Okay, let me move on there. So, Pharaoh Fitton Bible, chapter 14:7, is speaking about how you pay homage to the Maker, the Creator of heaven and earth, and sea and springs of waters by keeping the 7-day Sabbath. The Sabbath is the royal seal, carries the owner's name. I say Yahuwah. Title Creator, right? God. Territory Earth. So that's how you pay homage to the greater earth. You keep a 7-day Sabbath holy. And that's every week. So every week, everybody has an opportunity to keep a really easy commandment. No buying, selling, no occupational work. It's literally a day off. It's pretty easy to keep. And there you go. Okay. And I believe Hebrews chapter 4:9, it literally says, actually a whole chapter of Hebrews chapter 4 literally says that, Hebrews 4:9 says that there still remains a Sabbath keeping for the people of God, right? So if you still want to be called a people of God, there still remains a Sabbath keeping, right? So the previous verse said, hey, Jesus didn't speak about any other day, so there still remains a Sabbath keeping for the people of God. There you go. Okay, so here we go. We got, see if I can open that up a little bit. We got Pharaoh Fitton Bible, chapter 14, 7 through 13. So we have right there, reverence God and give him honor, because the hour of his judgment has arrived. Therefore pay homage to the Maker of heaven and earth, the sea and the springs of water. There you go. So, like I said, how do you do that? Keep a Sabbath. Who's the Maker of heaven and earth? You got to go back to the beginning. Genesis chapter 2:1. Thus the heavens and earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. Verse 2. And the seventh day, Yah ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. And there you go. So I still have right here again, repeated Sabbath. The royal seal carries the owner's name, Yahuwah, title, creator, territory, earth. Means everything in it. Okay, let's see what's here. I got something right here over here. It said, then another angel, a third, followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone pays homage to the beast and his image and receives a mark upon his forehead, upon his hand. So upon your forehead is what you believe, and on the hand is your actions and what you do. Okay. I think it's Deuteronomy chapter 6. Talks about, and Exodus speaks about it being written on in your mind and your hand. Your actions are what you do. So, okay. So I got over here. Lewis, Gaston, Sugar Plain talk about this. This is what I read earlier. Thus, the observance of Sunday by the Protestants is a homage they pay in spite of themselves to the authority of the Catholic Church. So there you go. You can get the opposite here, right? Yeah, right. Pay homage to the Maker Earth by keeping a 7-day Sabbath holy, right? And the beast is going to do the opposite. Pay homage to the. If anyone pays homage to the beast, right? So it's the opposite. So, pay homage to the Creator of Earth, keeping the 7-day Sabbath. Pay homage to the beast system, which is replacing the biblical Sabbath for Sunday. And there you go. You're paying homage to the Roman Catholic Church. Your authority is the Pope now, not Jesus. Okay. And I read this earlier it's just repeat. It says, practically everything Protestants regard as essential or important they have received from the Catholic Church. The Protestant mind does not seem to realize that accepting the Bible and observing the Sunday and keeping Christmas and Easter, they're accepting the authority of the spokesman of the Church, the Pope. All right. Revelation 14:11, right here. And the smoke of the torture shall rise up to the eternities, and those who pay homage to the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name shall have no rest day or night. All right, pretty scary. All right, 14 verse 12. However, there is a consolation for the Holy One, these who keep the commands of God and have the faith of Jesus. So that's faith in action. You're guarding those commandments. It's like your wedding vows. It's how you don't commit adultery. It says you're the bride of Christ. It's how you don't commit adultery. This is why you guard the first 4 commandments, the great commandments of love. You love God with all your heart and soul is the first 4 commandments, and love your neighbor as yourself is the last 5 commandments. And you notice how it says great commandments. When you go reference scripture, it says the first 4 commandments are your great commandments. So you don't make least of the great commandments. I know there's a verse out there. It says how ones who make least of the commandments will be least in the kingdom of heaven. You notice how it doesn't say the ones who make least of the great commandments. It's not mentioned there. So you don't make least of the first 4 commandments, which is connected to the Father, creator of earth. You don't do that. Okay, so there, you get hope here. So the ones who keep commandments prove their faithfulness as a bride to their husband and the faith of Jesus, Yahushua, the Son of the living God. Okay, on the bottom here, it says, I also heard a voice from heaven saying, right happy are the dead who die in Yahuwah from now on. That might be Lord Mashiach there. Yes, says the Spirit, for they shall rest from their labors and their works accompany them. All right, there we go. All right, I say right there at the top, don't forget about Revelation 13:15. So making an image of the beast is duplicating it again. It's a revised Roman Empire, as it says, a second beast. Sounds a lot like America per Project 2025 agenda. Deceives people into making an image of the first beast. Okay. Right here, if you're celebrating Christmas and Easter and replace the biblical 7th-day Sabbath, covered up by the pagan name Saturday for Sunday, the first day of the week, you're in the jurisdiction of the Catholic Church, and your authority is the Pope, and not Jesus. The vicar of God means substitute here on earth for God. Equals vicar of Christ, substitute for Christ. Let's look up what this meaning is. So, right here I put in Greek anti is vicarious. In your search box, does vicar mean anti? So it says vicar of Christ, title of Pope, vicar meaning substitute, anti meaning substitute. Simply, vicar of Christ is the same as antichrist. Vicar of Christ, title of the Pope, vicar. All right. Here's another one. AI overview. All right. Yes, there's a strong connection. The Greek prefix anti, meaning against or in place of, shares the same core idea of substitution as a Latin vicarious, meaning substitute or in place of, which is the root of the English word vicar. Therefore, a vicar of Christ can be seen as acting as Christ's substitute, while the Greek term antichristos means one who acts in place of Christ or opposes Christ. Well, yeah, you're doing different. They're promoting beast feasts. Holidays are not approved, making antichrist. So again, it says right here, acts in place of Christ or opposes Christ, making antichrist, a literal equivalent in meaning to vicar of Christ in this context of substitution. Let's go through again. Let's read this one. The word means substitute, vicarious, substitute, deputy, or one who acts in place of another. When used in the title Vicar of Christ, vicarious of Christi, signifies someone acting in behalf of Christ. Anti, prefix against, opposite, or also in place of or exchange of. Doesn't sound good. Okay. The concept of vicar of Christ is a person authorized to act in place of Christ. The concept of antichrist is a person or power that acts against Christ or puts themselves in Christ's place. The Greek anti and Latin vicarious are both about substitution, leading to the interpretation of the title Vicar of Christ is a literal sense of substitution, the same as antichrist, right? Okay. Got another one here. A screenshot from the article appeared Q&A column of the Baptist Bulletin. So I'm going to read this here, starting up at the top. Further, the Bible warns as not to call anyone father apart from God. himself. Matthew 23, verse 9. Interestingly, the Spanish word for pope is papa. Another interesting item to consider is the Latin equivalent of the Greek anti is vicarius, from which the word vicar is derived. Thus, the term vicar of Christ literally means antichrist. Might this be the reason that Martin Luther called the Pope Antichrist? Read the rest here. We know from studying Bible or prophecy that the Pope's future counterpart, the coming world ruler of the one world church and government, will indeed be the Antichrist or the beast. This individual will set himself up as the one in place of Christ while actually opposing him. And there we go. So you don't want to be in their jurisdiction. Okay. All right. This is very interesting here. Found from the Dead Sea Scrolls, the great Melchizedek roll recorded by Abraham's hand, the story of the vase. Chapter 7, 16 through 17. Here's a screenshot, aligns with Isaiah 56, 1 through 7, and these other verses here. So I'm just going to read this. Oh boy, here we go. How to get this to... Okay, there we go. Right here. Thus says Yahuwah, observe the right and practice justice, because my salvation is ready to come, and my justice to manifest. Blessed is the man who proceeds in this way, and the son of man who affirms this, who keeps the Sabbath, and do not desecrate him, and he keeps his hand from practicing evil. Don't let the foreigner that he gave himself to Yahuwah naturally, Yahuwah is going to exclude me from his people, or say, the eunuch, there is no doubt, I do not pass a dry tree. Thus says Yahuwah, to the eunuchs who keep my Saturdays, the 7-day Sabbath, okay, and opt for what is my will, remaining faithful to my covenant, I must give them in my house and within my walls a monument and a name more precious than they would have as sons and daughters. Okay, let me say that again. A monument and a name more precious than they would have as sons and daughters. So a greater name than sons and daughters. I have to give them an eternal name, which will not be removed. And as for the foreigners who surrendered to Yahuwah to serve him, yes, to love the name of Yahuwah and become his servants, namely all who refrain from desecrating the Sabbath and who remain faithful to my covenant, it's a covenant there, I will bring you to my holy mountain and cover you with joy in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings, their sacrifices will be well accepted on my altar. In effect, my house will be called a house of prayer for all peoples. All right, pay attention real closely here now. Verse 17. In the 6 years of opportunity, Samuel, a name for Azazel or the devil, the great deceiver, in a gesture of despair, will use all possible resources to prevent the realization of Yahuwah through his people. He's going to hide the name of the Most High, right? Cover it with like the name like title or Lord, which the title Lord or Adon, Master, is really a title that goes with Messiah, because in Psalms 110, David says, my Adonai, my Lord, my Master is at the right hand of the big name, Yahuwah, Tetragrammaton, right? Yod-He, Woo-He, Yod-He, Wah-He, right? So they're going to try to, Samuel the great seer, in a gesture of despair, will use all possible research to prevent the realization of Yahuwah through his people. Okay, right there. In opposition to the sanctification of the Sabbath, which is the sign of the covenant between Yahuwah and his chosen ones. Here we go, right there. Numerous religions allied to impious rulers will impose another day for worship, not being able to buy or sell all those who remain faithful to the covenant of Yahuwah in those years of trials. Let me see that again there, okay? So it says, in opposition to the sanctification of the Sabbath, which is a sign of the covenant between Yahuwah and his chosen ones, numerous religions allied to impious rulers will impose another day, that's Sunday, right, for worship, not being able to buy or sell all those who remain faithful to the covenant of Yahuwah in those years of trials. Okay, right here. The elect of Yah will survive by caring for the angels who lead them away from populous cities that will be punished for the last 7 plagues that will fall on the unrepentant at the end of 6 years. During the 6 years of the final harvest, the Messiah will build a new and eternal Jerusalem, adorning it with the acts of justice of his elect. The new Jerusalem will only be revealed when all, okay, that's all I have for that. So, sounds like Project 2025, right? The agenda. They're calling another day Sabbath and holy, right? They're marked. Okay, so this is the same thing screenshot here. And you can see here, I aligned Isaiah 56, 1 through 7 with it, going down the side. So it's pretty much the same thing. I'd usually say Sabbath, you know. And then down here, the only difference is in the Dead Sea Scrolls, where they're saying this came from, is this part here, where it's saying the great deceiver is going to cause people to not be able to come to know the Most High's name, and then they're going to replace the 7-day Sabbath with another day, right? Okay, there we go. So it lines up with Isaiah 56, 1 through 7. Okay. So you pay homage to the Creator of heaven and earth by keeping his 7-day Sabbath holy, but not buying and selling or occupious work on the Sabbath, known by pagan name Saturday, and not Sunday, the first day of the week. So I'm reading Genesis 2, 1 through 3. Thus the heaven and earth were finished, and all hosts of them. And on the 7th day, Yah ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. And Yah blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Yah created and made. That's how you pay homage to the Creator of earth. Honor and respect to Sabbath. Exodus 20, 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. It says remember, so don't forget. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah, thy God. And all thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy maidservant, manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within gates. Verse 11. For in 6 days Yahuwah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore Yahuwah blessed the 7th day and hallowed it. All right. This is from the Olive Top Scriptures. All right, Exodus 31:16. Therefore you shall keep the children of Yasharel the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout all their generations, for a perpetual, permanent, that means forever, covenant, a perpetual covenant. It is a sign, a mark between me and the children of Yasharel forever, Olam. For in 6 days made by Yahuwah the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. And there you go. So the Sabbath is a perpetual covenant, a sign mark between me and between him and the children of Yasharel forever. For in 6 days made heavens and earth. So the 7th day is a holy day, not the first day of the week, Sunday. Okay, this is by the Berean Study Bibles, Exodus 31. Pretty much what I just read. Let's see. It says, starting with verse 12, Yahuwah said to Moses, tell the Israelites, surely you must keep my Sabbaths, for this will be a sign between me and you for generations to come, so that you may know that I am Yahuwah who sanctifies you. Verse 14, keep the Sabbath, for it is holy to you. Anyone who profanes it must surely be put to death. Whoever does any work on that day must be cut off from among his people. For 6 days work may be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of complete rest, holy to Yahuwah. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day must surely be put to death. Right? The beast system wants to put people to death for not keeping their days, right? The Israelites must keep the Sabbath, celebrating it as a permanent covenant for the generations to come. Verse 17. It is a sign between me and the Israelites forever. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heavens and the earth, but on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. 18. When Yahuwah had finished speaking with Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him the 2 tablets. Okay. Book of Nehemiah. Berean Study Bible, starting here at 16. Additionally, men of Tyre who lived there were importing fish and all kinds of merchandise and selling them on the Sabbath to the people of Yehuda and Jerusalem. Then I rebuked the nobles of Yehuda and asked, "What is this evil you are doing, profaning the Sabbath? Did not your forefathers do the same things, so that our Elohim brought all this disaster on us and on this city? And now you are rekindling his wrath against Yasharel by profaning the Sabbath." So, no buying and selling on the Sabbath. When the evening shadows began to fall on the gates of Jerusalem just before the Sabbath, I ordered that the gates be shut, not open till after Sabbath. I posted some of my servants at the gates so that no load could enter on the Sabbath day. Verse 20. Once or twice the merchants and those who sell all kinds of goods camped outside Jerusalem, but I warned them, "Why are you camping in front of the wall? If you do it again, I will lay hands on you." From that time on, they did not return on the Sabbath. Then I instructed the Levites to purify themselves and guard the gates in order to keep the Sabbath day holy. Remember me for this as well, O my Elohim, and show me mercy according to your abundant loving devotion. There you go. Buying and selling is profaning the Sabbath, right? Importing fish, all kinds of merchandise, and selling them on the Sabbath, right? He rebuked the nobles of Yehuda and asked, "What is this evil you're doing, profaning the Sabbath day?" So no buying and selling. So the wicked ones are going to do the opposite, make another day holy, getting you to receive their mark. Okay. Britain Septuagint. What happens to people who choose to just void out the Father's 7-day Sabbath? Let's read right here. We got Isaiah 66, 22 through 24, Britain Septuagint. Starting right here. "For as a new heaven and new earth, which I make remain before me, says Yahuwah, so shall your seed and your name continue." Verse 23. "And it came to pass from month to month and from Sabbath to Sabbath that all flesh shall come to worship before me. In Jerusalem, saith Yahuwah." Verse 24. "And they shall go forth and see the carcasses of men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, and their fire shall not be quenched, and they shall be a spectacle to all flesh." So, carcasses of men that have transgressed against me. So, right here it says, "And it shall come to pass from month to month, and from Sabbath to Sabbath, that all flesh shall come to worship before me in Jerusalem, said Yahuwah." So, the living flesh, everybody's going to be keeping Sabbath to Sabbath, okay? And these ones here, they will see the carcass of men who have transgressed against him. Okay. Colossians 2:16 is obviously referencing Isaiah 66 there. Whoops. Where'd I do with that? There it goes. As they're right here. Okay. "Let no man disturb you about food or about drink, or in the distinction of feasts and the beginnings of months and Sabbaths." So don't let anybody make you don't let anybody make you feel bad for keeping the biblical Sabbath or biblical feast days. I have another one right here, the RSTN Bible, Colossians. There you go. "Let no individual man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of a moed, or in the Kodesh month, or in the Shabbat day, Yaman." All right. Got here, "There's a counterfeit for everything. Mark of Yahuwah equals Sabbath equals 7th day of the week. Or mark of the beast equals Sunday equals 1st day of the week. Passover, a covenant for a meal. Or Easter, the meal of abomination. Christmas equals birthday of Tammuz. Or Pentecost, the birth of Emmanuel." All right. Let's see him right here. "The birthday of Messiah is not Christmas, December 25th. It is the birth of Tammuz." Whoops. If you're still celebrating Christmas, the birth of Tammuz, and Easter for Passover, the covenant for a meal, and replacing the biblical 7-day Sabbath pagan name Saturday for Sunday, the first day of the week, it equals idolatry. Lawlessness equals the one who loves and practices a lie. Reference Revelation 22, verse 15. Side note here. Concerning the Messiah's birth, name Emmanuel, it wasn't until the 8th day of circumcision that he received the name Yahusha, Yah is my salvation, which directs you back to the Father as the true Savior. You reference Luke chapter 2, verse 21, as it says, on the 8th day, when it was time to circumcise the child, he was named Jesus, or Yeshua, the name the angel had given him before he was conceived. So, different ways you can pronounce Yah is my salvation or Yah is my deliverance. I got Yahusha, Yahushua, Yeshua, Yahoshua, Jesus, Joshua, Yah's deliverance or Yah's salvation, right? I've done this video before, and I'm just going to go over it again real quick. The birth of Emmanuel, Jesus, the son of Yah. September 9/11, 3 BC, Emmanuel's real birthday. I highly recommend you reference video 9/11 and the Birth of Christ by Rob Skiba. So I took a screenshot there for you, and you can look these up. And there we go. So here I'm going to read this right here. Revelation 12, 1 through 5 is describing a stellar alignment on September 9/11, 3 BC. This is the conception date of Miriam. There's 3 months difference between the biblical calendar and the Gregorian calendar. So September 9/11 would correlate to 6/11 per the biblical 6th month, as in agreement with Luke chapter 1, verse 26. Now in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a city of Galilee named Nazareth. So there's 3 months difference, okay? So September 9/11 would correlate to 6/11 per the biblical calendar, the Dead Sea Scroll calendar, Zedekiah calendar, okay? So here it is. I'm going to show it to you right now. All right. Okay, so 9/11 would correlate to the month 6. There you go, 6/11. But conception. So we go 9 months later. We go 1, 2, 3. Whoops. That's not good. I got to start over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we're on 3/11, right? And then you got 3 intercalcular days. 1, 2, 3, and you're on Pentecost, Shavuot Pentecost, the 3rd month, the 15th day of the 3rd month. So the 3 intercalcular days you got to add in there. They're right here. 1, 2, 3. So there you go. Right? September 9/11 correlates to 6/11 right here. Go 9 months later. Right? You end up right here. 3/11 plus 3 intercalcular days. Right? Day 15 of the 3rd month. Pentecost. Shavuot is his birthday. Same day Isaac was born on, and the son Judah, Yehuda, was born on that day also. Okay. Talking about, I put this in here, the birth of John the Baptist, right? When the time came for Elizabeth to have her child, she gave birth to a son. Her neighbors and relatives heard that Yahuwah had shown her great mercy, and they rejoiced with her. And on the 8th day, when they came to circumcise the child, they were going to name him after his father's Zachariah. But his mother replied, "No, he shall be called John." Anyways, the point of this is showing that he got a different name on the actual 8th day of circumcision. Okay, so right here I have a screenshot from the video Revelation for Dummies. Should be called Revelation for Smarties. Anyways, it's about Pope Sixtus 666. So I took a screenshot from that video, and let me read it here. As said right here, Pope Sixtus III, quote, December 25th was made popular by Pope Liberus in 354 and became the ruler in the West in 435 when the first Christmas was officiated by Pope Sixtus III. This coincided with the date of the celebration by the Romans to their primary god, the sun, and to Mithras. That's Nimrod there, right? A popular Persian sun god supposedly born on the same day. The Roman Catholic writer Mario Righetti candidly admits that to facilitate the acceptance of the faith by the pagan masses, the church found it convenient to institute 25th December as a feast of the birth of Christ to divert them from pagan feasts. But December 25th is pagan, celebrated on the same day in honor of the invincible sun, Mithras, the conqueror of darkness. There you go. So you celebrate these things, you put yourself in a different jurisdiction. You don't want to be in their jurisdiction. It's deception. Strong delusion, right? They deceive them to do a form of action, to pay homage to the beast. Okay. Some other quotes from the videos, Revelation for Dummies, Smarties. 6 is the first established Easter on a different day than Passover. All right. 6 is the second, may have added some errors. He didn't answer for that. Interesting about a different day for them Passover, which got you Easter. And 6 is the third, aka the literal 666 of Revelation, made the abomination of desolation Mass on December 25th, the mark of the beast, known as Ash Wednesday, Trinity belief, and calling them Catholics, Christians amongst the evils. All right. What do I got here? Note, there have been 5 popes named Sixtus. The third pope, Sixtus 3, would ironically match John's prophecy about a Roman ruler who would come by the name of 3 Sixes, Revelation 13:18, and thus the attempt to hide the meaning of the name by counter-Reformation sources. Okay, it's kind of a repeat here. I mentioned this earlier about Revelation 13:5. Permission was granted to infuse life, breath into the image of the beast, so the image of the beast could both speak and cause to be put to death whoever would not worship the image of the beast. So as we mentioned earlier, so the beast, the nation, speaks by legislating Sunday law. Let me say that. So the beast, the nation, speaks by legislating Sunday law, and then they cause it to be enforced. Right? It sounds a lot like America per the Project 2020 agenda. Okay. He also forced all, the small and great, and rich and poor, and the free and the slaves to receive a mark upon their right hand, upon their forehead. So again, upon their hand is the actions what you do, and upon your forehead is what you believe. Okay. Right here, 17. So that no one should be allowed to buy or sell except those possessing that mark, the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So that no one should be allowed to buy or sell except those possessing his mark. Okay, I got some comments here. I put, Mark Yahuwah received by not buying and selling on a Sabbath. Mark of the beast received by buying and selling on the Sabbath. Mark of Yahuwah received by not buying and selling on the Sabbath. Here's a few verses. There's a lot more. Mark of the beast received by buying and selling on the Sabbath, obviously replacing another day, elevating the commandment of men above the commandment of God, right? Buying and selling is purveying the Sabbath. Nehemiah, as read earlier, chapter 10, verse 31, 13, 15 through 22. Got Ezekiel 20, 12 through 24, Amos 8, 5 through 11, Exodus 35, 2. So I also noticed these correlations concerning this, right? You got right here, the mark of Yahuwah. I underlined 16 through 17, right? And that earlier reading I did about the Dead Sea Scrolls, scroll written by Abraham's hand, the story of the vase, right? See how the 16, 17? The correlation here with that, you got 16 through 17. Also over here, Revelation, the mark of the beast, you also have 16 through 17 there, right? I thought it was kind of interesting. Okay, so. Okay, a few excerpts from Catholic confessions concerning their mark. All right. Okay, it's going to let me do this. Here we go. It says a few excerpts from the Roman Catholic confessions about Sunday. Starting right here. Of course, the change from Sabbath to Sunday was her act, and the act is a mark of her essential power and authority in religious matters. Right? By this guy, Thomas Chancellor, Carter Gibbons, 1895. Okay, next one is right here. Sunday is our mark of authority. There's that mark again, right? The act is a mark. Hear it again. Sunday is our mark of authority. The church is above the Bible, and their transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact. Catholic Record of London, Ontario, September 1st, 1923. Okay. Here's another one starting right here. T. Enright, all right, of Hartford, Kansas, February 18th, 1884. Right here, I have repeatedly offered 1,000 anyone who can prove to me from the Bible alone that I am bound to keep Sunday holy. There is no such law in the Bible. It is a law of the Holy Catholic Church alone. The Bible says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Right? Right here. The Catholic Church says, no, by my divine power I abolish the Sabbath day and command you to keep holy the first day of the week. There it is again. I abolish the Sabbath day and command you to keep holy the first day of the week. And, lo, the entire civilized world bows down in reverence, obedience to the command of the Holy Catholic Church. Whoa. Okay, here's another one right here. As Pope Benedict says, Sunday is not just a suspension of ordinary activities, but a time when Christians discover the Eucharist, form that their lives are meant to have. The way we celebrate Sunday will affect the way we live the remainder of the week, and is a mark of Christian identity. From generation to generation, Cardinal Sean P. O'Malley, Pastoral Letter, November 30th, 2011. There you go. Okay, here's another one. Daniel Ferris, Manual of Christian Doctrine, 1916. Okay. Question. How prove you that the church has power to command feasts and holy days? Answer. By the very act of changing the Sabbath into Sunday, which Protestants allow of, and therefore they finally contradict themselves by keeping Sunday strictly and breaking most other feasts commanded by the same church. Okay, our Sunday visitor, this is February 5th, 1950. Practically everything Protestants regard as essential or important, they have received from the Catholic Church. The Protestant's mind does not seem to realize that in accepting the Bible and observing the Sunday and keeping Christmas and Easter, they are accepting the authority and the spokesman for the Church, the Pope. Right here, Louis Gaston Chagar, Plain Talk About Protestantism. Right there. There you go. So, let me read it here. Thus, the observance of Sunday by the Protestants is a homage they pay, in spite of themselves, to the authority of the Catholic Church. Reference 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, 54 through 59. So basically it mentions the month of Caslu here, 25. That equals December 25th, abomination and desolation. So again, there's a 3 months difference there concerning such. Okay. I put some quotes here if you want to. Actually, I might read some of this a little later here. I put the Book of Two Pearls, Book 1, Message of God, known as Mysticam Biblia. And I'll probably read some of these in chapter 24 concerning the Sabbath. I already read earlier the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Great Melchizedek Roll, recorded by Abraham's hand, the story of the vase, aligns with 56, 1 through 7 of these verses. I did read that. Buying and selling is profaning the Sabbath, as I mentioned earlier. Here's the verses. Should read 2nd Ezra chapter 7, 1 through 140. NRSA translation. It's not. It's the King James one is King James one is missing verses. Okay, so you want to do this one since you have all the verses there. Yah Scriptures has them all too, and there's also a 4th Ezra's out there with like updated names or revised names, right? But there you go. Definitely reference that so you could know why some people receive eternal life and why some do not. Okay. And what happens after death? Okay. Catholic American Sentinel. I read these earlier. Sunday, it is a law of the Catholic Church alone. Here's another one. Sunday is purely a creation of the Catholic Church. Here's another one. The Catholic Church, for over 1,000 years before the existence of Protestants, by the virtue of divine mission, changed the day from Saturday to Sunday. So there it is. Sunday law, Catholic creation for over 1,000 years. And Project 2025 is promoting the law, promoting that Sunday will be a law, right? Okay. A few excerpts from the Protestants' confessions about Sunday. So, all right, let me see if I can get through this. The Sabbath was binding in Eden, and it has been in force ever since. This fourth command begins with the word remember, showing that the Sabbath already existed when God wrote the law on the tablets of stone at Sinai. How can men claim that this one commandment has been done away with when they will admit that all other 9 are still binding? All right. Here's another one here. William Owen. There was never any formal authoritative change from the Jewish seventh-day Sabbath to the Christian first-day observance. Here's another one right here by this guy here, 1893. There was and is a commandment to keep holy the Sabbath day, but the Sabbath day was not Sunday. It will be said, however, and with some show triumph, that the Sabbath was transferred from the seventh to the first day of the week. Where can the record of such transaction be found? Not in the New Testament, absolutely not. To me, it seems uncountable that Jesus, during the 3 years' intercourse with his disciples, often conversing with them upon the Sabbath question, never alluded to any transference of the day. Also, that during 40 days of his resurrection life, no such thing was intimated, of course. I quite well know that Sunday did come into use in early Christian history, but what a pity it comes branded with the mark of paganism and christened with the name of the sun god, adopted and sanctioned by the papal apostasy, and be quenched as a sacred legacy to Protestantism. All right, here's another one right here. Canon, the 10 Commandments. There is no word, no hint in the New Testament about abstaining from Sunday. There is no word, no hint in the New Testament about abstaining from work on Sunday. Into the rest of the Sunday, no divine law enters. The observance of Ash Wednesday or Lent stands exactly on the same footing as the observance of Sunday. Okay, here's another one here. The Sabbath is part of the Decalogue, the 10 Commandments. This alone forever settles the question as to the perpetuity of the institution. Until therefore it can be shown that the whole moral law has been repelled, the Sabbath will stand. The teaching of Christ confirms the perpetuity of the Sabbath. Okay, I find this quite interesting right here. So Sabbath is a sign of everlasting covenant, a day of rest from labor. Here's some verses. Daniel 7:25, it says they come to think to change laws and times, make you think by deception, right? They mess with the calendar. They make you think New Year's starts in the wintertime when it starts in the spring of life, around March, around the equinox. You know, change the Sabbath, the biblical feast days, right? Okay, here we go. So Constantine issued a civil decree making Sunday a day of rest from labor on March 7, 320 AD, and Muhammad to the 6th day, circa approximately 622 AD. And let me show that again. So Sabbath is a sign of everlasting covenant. Listen, a day of rest from labor. So the wicked one does the opposite, right? Constantine issued a civil decree making Sunday a day of rest from labor. There it is. A day of rest from labor for Sabbath, and it is Sabbath. Sunday, a day of rest from labor. Okay. Constantine, this is at 325 AD. Constantine Creed renounced all customs of Hebrews, and Christians would swear to accept all customs, legalisms of the Romans. So denounce anything biblical. All right, doesn't sound good. Constantine did not do a good thing there. I mean, Deuteronomy 4:2 says you cannot add or take away the Bible. Can't do it. So anyways, and a lot of people think it's a good thing that he changed things. No. Here's another. The Quartodiocean controversy, Passover to Easter at the Council of Nicaea, convened by Constantine. Right? The change of Passover to Easter. Here's another one. 325 AD, Tritarian doctrine of the Council of Nicaea established the Nicene Creed convened by Constantine. All right, there we go on that. And I guess I can show you this. Here's the Dead Sea Scrolls calendar. Zadokite priest. Let me see this. Okay, so here you see Passover, and during the Resurrection Week, you have 2 Sabbaths during the Resurrection Week. So the first and last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread after Passover are high Shabbats, including the regular 7-day weekly Sabbath. So you got Passover is one day, and then you got 7 days of Feast of Unleavened Bread right here. So like I said, it's preparation day. When they said Passover, the preparation day, they're preparing themselves to get in the tomb before the next day, because the next day is a high Shabbat. The Feast of Unleavened Bread is a Sabbath. You can see easily get 3 days later, and here you are, right? There's Feast of Trumpets. The day that Abraham chose the domain of the creator of all heaven and earth. Day of Atonement. Anyways, everything's right here. And there you go. All right. Here's our original letter. Let's see if I can read it. May 22nd, 1934, Pope Pius. It says, "Dear Sir, is the accusation true that the Protestants accuse you of? They say you changed the 7-day Sabbath to the so-called Christian Sunday, identical with the first day of the week. If so, when did you make the change and by what authority? Yours truly, J.L. Day." So here's a reply. A Catholic Extension magazine, right here. "Dear Sir, regarding the change from the observance of the Jewish Sabbath to the Christian Sunday, I wish to draw your attention to the facts. The Protestants who accept the Bible as the only rule of faith and religion should by all means go back to the observance of the Sabbath. The fact that they do not, but on the contrary observe the Sunday, stultifies them in the eyes of every thinking man." And number 2 here. "We Catholics do not accept the Bible as the only rule of faith. Besides the Bible, we have the living church, the authority of the church, as a rule to guide us. We say that this church, instituted by Christ to teach and guide men through life, has the right to change the ceremonial laws of the Old Testament, and hence we accept her change of the Sabbath to Sunday. We frankly say, yes, the church made this change, made this law, as she made many other laws. For instance, the Friday abstinence, the unmarried priesthood, the laws concerning mixed marriages, the regulation of Catholic marriages, and 1,000 other laws." Number 3 here. "We also say that of all Protestants, the Seventh-day Adventists are the only group that reason correctly and are consistent with their teachings. It is always somewhat laughable to see the Protestant churches in the pulpit and legislature demand the observance of Sunday, of which there is nothing in the Bible. With best wishes, Peter R. Tramer, editor." There you go. Okay, I did a video earlier about this. I'm going to go over it again. Concerning December 25th. It was called Abomination and Desolation is being reacted every year on December 25th when people participate in Christmas. There's a 3-month difference between the biblical calendar and the Gregorian calendar. 1 Maccabees chapter 1, 54 through 59. The 9th month of Caslu, the 25th day, correlates to December 25th, which is the birth of Tammuz, the resurrection of the dead Nimrod. Right? The abomination of desolation was set up on the 15th day, and on the 25th day, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which is upon the altar of God. So 9/25, and then the abomination and desolation on the altar of God, right? All right. And 9/25 correlates to our time, December 25th, Christmas. All right. Okay, here we go. 1 Maccabees 1 verse 54. Now the 15th day of the month of Caslu in the and 45th year, they set up the abomination desolated upon the altar, and built idol altars throughout the cities of Yehuda, on every side. There you go. Here's the other one. Verse 59. Now the 5th and 25th day of the month, 25th day, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which is upon the altar of God. All right. King James Version. But you are Yah's temple where the Holy Spirit dwells, and if anyone destroys Yah's temple, he will be destroyed. You can reference these correlating texts. I'm going to read this one here. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, 16 through 7. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy him. For God's temple is holy, and you are that temple. So when you're reenacting Christmas, right? You're reenacting the abomination that took place on December 25th. Well, it's 9/25 there correlates to December 25th. You're reenacting that whole thing, but you're the temple of God now. So you're reenacting that abomination in your spiritual temple. And them sacrifice pig and abomination, animal that's never been considered. It's never been considered food. It's not considered food if you look at the laws of clean and unclean food. So there you go. It's interesting how the demons, when Messiah was casting the demons out of an individual, how the demons were requested to go inside a pig, an unclean beast, right? Okay. So 2 Corinthians 6, verse 16. What agreement has the temple of God with idols? For we are the temple of living God, as God said. All right. I will make my dwelling among them and walk among them, and I will be their God, and there will be my people. So, celebrate Christmas, reenacting the abomination of desolation, mention the Maccabees is not a good thing. You're desecrating your temple of God. You are the temple of Yah. Hallelujah. Romans 12, verse 1, the living sacrifice. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of Yah, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to Yah, which is your spiritual worship. 1 Corinthians 6, 15 through 20, King James. Okay. Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them members of a harlot? God forbid. God forbid. What? Know ye not that what? Know ye not that he which is joined to a harlot is one body? For two, says he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto you is one spirit. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. Christmas would be definitely desolating your body. What? Know you not that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, which is in you, which ye have of Yahuwah, Elohim, and you are not your own? For you are bought with a price, therefore glorify Yah in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. Okay. Okay, here's that Dead Sea Scroll count again. I'm just showing you here that so Caslu, right? 925 with abomination desolation took place on the altar of Yah, right here. And that correlates to December 20th, Christmas. So the 3 months difference, okay? So that'd be December 25th. December 20th, that correlates to Caslu, 925. All right. All right. Okay, Christmas is about the birth of Tammuz, and pagans were ordered by Nimrod's mother-wife Semiramis to celebrate Nimrod's resurrection as Tammuz by cutting down an evergreen tree, taking it into their homes and decorating it with silver and gold balls to symbolize Nimrod's testicles, and the Christmas tree represents the erect male phallus, the phallus symbol of Nimrod's private part. Hopefully you're not weeping for Tammuz, right there. You probably already knew that and are most likely going to rationalize it. Hopefully not. Syncretism in the highest. All right. Asherah pole is a symbol of rebirth and fertility. She, Asherah, was worshipped and was known by erecting poles and pillars that symbolized the erect male phallus. The evergreen trees were chosen because they stayed green in the winter and did not die. All right. Reference. Here we go. We got reference, the Book of Two Pearls, New Revised Text, Book 1, Message of God, also known as, how do you say that, Mysticam Biblia? And we're going to do chapter 24, which talks about the Sabbath. Okay, let me see if I can find what I'm looking for here. Chapter 2. All right, chapter 2. It's going to let me. Come on, where'd you go? Okay. Let me read this. Here we go. In the land of Ur, there was a man by the name Abram. Ur was of Babel, and Nimrod ruled the kingdom with great cunning. Here you go. Noah's son Shem heard about the exploits of Nimrod. He heard that after Cush died, Nimrod had taken his own mother to wife. Her name was Semiramis, which was a daughter of Shem. All right. This unholy alliance angered Shem. It was an unthoughtful relationship in those days that a son should play the monger with his own mother. That's Nimrod for you. Like the magistrates, the magi. Okay, had the traditions of Nimrod. Okay, one day Shem came to Nimrod and said, You son of Cush, your spirit is black because of the sin of all sins of this day. In 3 days I will tear down your temple, and there will be nothing left but the shameful object your lust. Verse 5, Nimrod stood up and said, Shem, you see how mighty of a huntsman I am. I am the only true savior of this confused society. I am a god to the people of my realm. I could destroy even you at this moment if I so desire. Shem said, No longer shall you be Nimrod, the god of the hunt, but in 3 days you will be, how have you said, Nephish, the fallen king. Okay. 2 years came to pass, and Nimrod forgot the warning of Shem around this time. Abram was called from Ur by Yahuwah to begin his congregation. Abram left the idols of Nimrod behind, and Yah changed his name to Abraham, the father of many nations. Verse 7. Abraham sent word to Nimrod, saying, In 1 year is your death, O king. Your harlot bitch, that's Semiramis, his mom, will also die in 7 years of your death. However, your legend will taint, listen, your legend will taint the generations of my people, and at the last day you shall even rise in judgment against the generation of Amor and Berith, and all those that sprang from them. Verse 8. And it came to pass that Shem marched with an army to Babel, and overtook Nimrod in battle. The sword of Shem rent Nimrod asunder. Afterward, his whore, Semiramis, his mother, found one part of his body and set up obelisks in honor of that foul thing she found. She kept it by her, and even did unspeakable acts with it. All right. 9. 7 years passed, and she was torn apart by wild pigs in the desert. To this day, we have the saying in the desert, the night bitch is there trying to find her resting place. She became known as Lilith. Verse 10. Before she died, she gave birth to a son named Tribatha. That's another name for Tammuz. For he was third in the house to rule the heathens of Babel. Tribatha, Tammuz, did the evil that his father Nimrod did before him, and even spread his seed among the sons of Shur. The armies of Tribatha, Tammuz, searched for Shem, but could not find him, for his bloodline was vast, and Yahuwah hid him in the mountain, of which was later called Sinai. There Shem inscribed the books which had been taken, all right, upon the ark, so that they may be preserved. All right. When Shem was 600 years old, he made a testament unto his people. He said, My days are coming to an end, and I must prophesy that Yahuwah has revealed unto me. In the last days, Yah will send his word to die. Oh, look at that. And God will send his word to die. That's Messiah. Many will obey the word and wash themselves in its blood. Remember that again. In the last days, God will send his word to die. Many will obey the word and wash themselves in its blood. However, Nimrod will return with his whore on top of man, cause kings to commit whoredoms in the name of the word, so deceivers in the name of the word, which they will replace with another. Okay. Sounds like Rome, the Roman Catholic Church, all the traditions we've been brainwashed in public school, you know? Christmas, Easter, okay. Halloween, trick or trunk. Specters will ride the spirits of men and hurl them into the abyss. This will occur many days hence. Also, my people will fight another. Also, my people will fight another like unto Nimrod. Before this, his name will be the manifestation of God. The leader of my people will be Judas. The children of their mother will die because of Pagal. The same will also come to pass in the last days. 16. The people bugbear will also be taken over by idolatrous men who will spread another word not heard before that time. Another congregation will profane the name of Yahuwah into a strange sound never heard before. So I'm going to change the sound pronunciation of Yahuwah into a strange sound never heard before. Then I will send a strong arm, but he will also fall because of the sin of Nimrod. My word will be tampered with by those bishops who think to know better. It will deceive many and place my word into infancy each year cycle when the year is dead. In the beginning, verse 18, in the beginning, God made the heavens and the earth. The earth became formless, empty, and darkness was upon the shaft of the abyss. And the spirit of Yah hovered over the surface of the seas. And Elohim said, let there be light. And there was the word and the light of men. Men were in darkness, and the light overpowered the darkness, but men saw it not. 20. I, Shem, command that you follow the light. Earlier reference, that's the light of men right here. The word, the light of men. And Shem said, command that you follow the light and shun the false light of Nimrod, not worship the east, nor carved trees, in the name of God. 21. I give you, my children, this prophecy to ponder and keep. Remember the days are coming when Yahuwah will send a lawgiver to deliver you from the mouth of Leviathan. My words will help you deal with the coming trial upon the children of Eber. 22. Go, I must die now. Be of good cheer. Remember what I have done to the hunter of Babel. These things Shem said to his children, and he died. He was gathered to his fathers, and his children wept for 7 days. Okay, now there you go. So that's chapter 2 of the Book of Two Pearls. New Revised Text. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go to chapter 24. How far is that? Okay. There we go. I'm going to start one verse before 24 here, right here. These 10 words God thus spoke, but soon Yashua forgot these words, and God set his new covenant in motion. Since Yashua would not obey these words, God would not send the word to remind them of what these words were about. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was full of waste. And God said, let there be the word, and the word was the light of men. So be it. Okay, chapter 24, here we go. All right, right there. The epistle of God. Whoever works on the Sabbath day shall be cursed. I command you to assemble and keep my day holy without doing any manner of work. You shall not lazily spend your time adorning yourself with expensive clothes and ridiculous dresses, for I have ordained a day of rest. I will have that day kept holy, that your sins be far from me. You shall not break my commandments, but observe and keep them. Write them in your heart, and observe that it was written with my own hand, and spoke with my own mouth. You shall not only assemble yourself, but also send your servants and observe my commandments. You shall finish your labor every 6th day by dusk. I advise you to fast every year. You shall diligently and peaceably labor in your respective callings, wherein it has pleased God to call you. You shall love one another with brotherly love, and cause them that are purified to come to assembly, and to be made members of the congregation. Let me say that again. You shall love one another with brotherly love, and cause them that are purified to come to assemble, and to be made members of the congregation. In so doing, I will give you a long life and many blessings, and your land will flourish, and your cattle bring forth in abundance. And I will give unto you blessings, many blessings, and comforts, and the greatest temptations. And he that does to the contrary shall be unprofitable. I will also send hardness of heart upon them until I see them, but especially upon the unbelievers. Going here. He that gives to the poor shall not be unprofitable. Remember to keep the holy the Sabbath day, for the seventh day I have taken to rest myself. And he that has a copy of this, my own letter, written with my own hand, and spoken with my own mouth, and keeps it without publishing it to others, shall not prosper. Let me say that again right there. Let me see. Written with his own hand and spoken with his own mouth, and keeps it without publishing it to others, shall not prosper. But he that publishes it to others shall be blessed of me. And though his sins be in number as the stars of the sky, and he believe in this, he shall be pardoned. Here. And if he believe not in this writing and this commandment, I will send my own plagues upon him, and consume both him and his children and his cattle. And whosoever shall have a copy of this letter, wear my own hand, and keep it in their houses, nothing shall hurt them, neither lightning, pestilence, nor thunder shall do them any hurt. And if a woman be with child and in labor, and a copy of this letter be about her, and she firmly puts her trust in me, she shall safely be delivered of her birth. So be it. This ends the book of two pearls. All right, there we go. Chapter 24, talking about the 7-day Sabbath. All right. Let's put here, reference 2 Edges 7, 1 through 40. I mentioned that earlier. Speaks about what happens after death, and also as to the reasons of why some who receive life or death. See if there's anything else. Oops. All right, I think that's it. All right. See if there's anything else here. Other than that, thank you and shalom. And again, the title of this video started off with the Project 2025, and about legislating Sunday law. And I went through the text. And other than that, thank you, shalom.